Constitutional law professor at South Texas College of Law, Josh Blackman. Josh, it is always great to see you, and we appreciate it. Why is the Attorney General making a statement like that he knows to be certainly, it sort of suggests it's not a unitary executive or unitary president, which means the president has absolute control over the executive branch.
Thanks for having me back, Lou. The fact of the matter is the president is unitary, as you noted, and he does have the ultimate authority to control prosecutions within his government. If President Trump ordered Rosenstein to fire Mueller and Rosenstein refused, Trump can then fire Rosenstein. So the entire notion that this prosecutor is truly independent is, from a constitutional perspective, simply incorrect.
Yeah, and why is it that there's so many? I mean, we heard James Comey start talking about this nonsense that the FBI is totally independent. And by the way, he had giving a speech, and I believe in Boston, he had said at one point, "You've got me for another 6.5 years," as if he really didn't understand that the president of the United States could fire him. And now we have this example of Rosenstein talking big and way too big for his britches.
The fact of the matter is almost everyone in the executive branch serves at the president's pleasure. And this prosecutor, Mueller, this Associate Attorney General, Rosenstein, even Sessions, if President Trump asks for the resignation, they resign. If President Trump says you're fired, they're fired. And from a constitutional perspective, that's all there is to it.
And as to Mueller himself, he now hires, his first 4 big hires are all Democratic donors, and significantly so. One including being if you will, a throwback to Watergate, a Democratic prosecutor. Why should that not be the basis for someone to say to the good special counsel, you know, this isn't going well. You're not even observing the quaintest idea of no conflict of interest.
So, Lou, you raise a good point. So far, the Attorney General, Sessions, and Rosenstein have said they have confidence and faith in them. But you can expect, as this prosecution unfurls and perhaps goes further and further to who knows where, the president may choose to reevaluate this. Ultimately, this is Trump's call. It's not Rosenstein's call. And I think that, from a constitutional perspective, is how this issue will be resolved.
I'm going to ask you to not only for your legal analysis, but of human nature. Why in the world would the Deputy Attorney General, the #2 man in the Justice Department, with the FBI Director reporting to him, why would he talk so big and, frankly, so aggressively and so assertively to the Intelligence Committee without at least a tip of the hat to the reality of the law and the political reality, which suggests that he had best not depend on that argument of cause?
You know, Lou, I think Rosenstein feels burned. If you recall, I think it was on your show the evening that Comey was fired.
Right. Originally,
Rosenstein wrote this letter saying that we are firing Comey because of his grandstanding with Hillary Clinton's investigation. And then the president went on TV and said, no, I fired him because of Russia. And I think Rosenstein feels personally burned by that. So this perhaps is why he's speaking in such broad terms to show this independence, which from a legal perspective simply doesn't exist.
Yeah, and it comes down to Rosenstein is, he could be accused, I think, somewhat fairly of grandstanding himself before the committee. Let me turn to Sessions and his argument on executive privilege, or the appropriateness in his determination of whether or not he would answer the committee questions about the personal communication between the president and himself, saying it's just not appropriate, and he'll make those judgments. He went to some length to explain to, it seemed to me, the senators that, one, he is the president's lawyer. He is to counsel the president, as well as lead the Justice Department, and he will make those decisions as he sees fit within the Constitution. Is he correct?
No, he is correct. There are two types of privileges, right? One is the regular attorney-client privilege that if any lawyer talks to a client, he has a duty not to disclose that unless the client allows it. But there's an even broader privilege, which is known as executive privilege. This dates all the way back to President Jefferson, who refused to provide documents in support of Aaron Burr, who was accused of manslaughter. This is a very old tradition. President Trump hasn't yet invoke this executive privilege. But what I think Sessions was saying is, this is probably stuff that the president would invoke the privilege on. I'm not going to spill the beans here. Let's let the president invoke it, and then we can go back to talking about it. So I think what Sessions was trying to do was prevent something that could have been leaked that Trump would probably want to protect.
Right. Josh Blackman, Professor, good to have you with us. Thanks, and look forward to talking with you soon.